Well, I hadn't planned on recording a follow-up video this soon after the last one, but I've got to do this while I still can, because I know it sounds like a cliche, but in my case it's true. We never know when the last day is going to be. So if we don't say something now, we may never get the opportunity. So I'm doing that because last night I had a very bad night, and it's been kind of a bad day today. I'm feeling much better now, but my blood pressure was way up to the moon once again, and this happens like 2 or 3 times a month. And one of these days I may not live through it. So, but I never know when that time's going to be. So I have to take advantage of every day as if it was the last one. And so therefore, I've decided to record another message, even though this is fairly close, and I am going to be recording some messages that are lead-ins to some videos. But today I'm not. Today I was thinking about something, and it is just illustrative of how messed up things are in this world. And if the human race does not straighten out its act, then extinction is in its future. Because this attitude of, well, basically, the human attitude is summed up by vanity, jealousy, lust, and greed. Vanity, jealousy, lust, and greed. Those are some of the main ways that people think. And if we do not come out of this, if we do not change our selfish ways, then we are headed either for extinction or for a massive reduction of population, because our present situation is totally unsustainable. And one thing that was making me think while I was eating dinner here was that today I found out the news that this Shiite Islamic cleric was put to death in Saudi Arabia. He was beheaded. See, ISIS is not the only one who's doing beheading. He was beheaded, and he was a man of peace and reconciliation, and he was standing up for human rights and human dignity, etc. And for his trouble, he was sentenced to death and executed, I believe, Friday by the Saudi Arabian government. And with Saudi Arabia, you have one of the richest countries of the Arab world bombing into oblivion one of the poorest. And the U.S. is just standing there, not saying anything, thus showing their double standard, because if it was certain other countries, they would be screaming bloody murder, as they say. But because this is the so-called friend of the United States, they're not saying anything about it. And they're not doing anything about it. So, anyway, we live in a world that is very sad. And we live in a world that is grossly off track. You know, the whole world is off the track, my friends. It's just off the track. Because we should be giving, loving, helping, caring, etc. Instead of having this attitude of, well, that doesn't affect me, so tough luck, Charlie. You know, tough luck to you. You know, And so, that is the attitude of so many, that if they don't have some kind of immediate profit from whatever it is that they're doing, then they just won't do it. So, I totally understand where musical stands like that are, but it is a fact that we need to start treating each other better, or there just won't be anything left of the human race because of the selfishness and the greed and the competition and the strife. It's like this whole world is just looking out for self, looking out for number one, and doing what's right only for themselves. And that's what the vast majority of people are doing. Well, when you have everybody doing that, then quickly you run into a mess, which is what we've got now. We've got a huge mess. And unless we straighten it out, then I'd say that the human race is doomed. The human race is doomed unless we come out of our slumber and realize that all men are our brothers and all women are our sisters. We shouldn't be making fun of other people and denigrating them. We should be, striving to make things better, because many people are just left in a homeless shelter. There's another place like that. I was left there for a few hours, a few years ago. I was kind of left to my own devices. And right now, I'm left to my own devices. So, because, nobody really cares. I think out of all the people that I know, there's only 2 that care. The rest of them may go to church and they may say they care, but in actuality they don't. So we need to begin to act in a more positive way towards each other. And, that's why this human race is in such total insanity. It's totally insane. The inmates, as they say, are running the asylum. The inmates are running the asylum. And it isn't just governmental leaders or business leaders who are psychopaths. Many people are also psychopaths. So, we need to pull our heads out of the sand, and we need to wake up. Jesus Christ, not to continually bring religion into this, but Jesus Christ gave one of the most perfect answers to a question. And the question was, who is my brother? And so Christ gave the story. So anyway, I guess that's all I'm going to say for today. And, I'm in a pretty dire situation myself. And until I got into this situation, I didn't realize how bad things were. I just didn't realize how bad things were. Because a lot of people, if they can't get anything from you, If they can't get anything from you, then they don't want anything to do with you. And that is just totally wrong. That is just totally wrong. And like I said before, Jesus Christ said that all men are brothers. And he gave the example of the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan, to illustrate his point. Because the Samaritans were looked down upon by all the Pharisees, and they just looked down their nose at those Samaritans. And yet, the Samaritan was the only one who was decent to the man who was robbed and left for dead on the road. Everybody else passed by on the other side. The priest passed by on the other side, who should have known better. And those just kept on passing by. The Pharisees passed by. Everybody just passed by until a good Samaritan came along, and he had pity on this individual who wasn't even a Jew. Well, the individual was a Jew, but the Samaritan was not a Jew. In fact, the Jews and the Samaritans were at enmity with each other. So this was their enemy. This was their enemy. And yet, he bound up the man's wounds and put him up in an inn and told the innkeeper to charge the expense to his account, because he wanted to make sure that that man was okay. And we got to have more of that attitude. People pay lip service to this type of thing, but when it comes down to actually doing, it's like you have to use a crowbar to pry those dollars out of their pocket. So anyway, I just want to leave you with that. It's this world is just going along in a horrible way. And if we don't do something about it soon, it is going to end very badly. So anyway, until next time, this is M. John Allen saying goodbye, everybody.